blood brothers and sanguine sisters to Deeply Discussing Dexter. I'm your host, Dale Maxfield. I'm joined by Aaron Caldwell.
Hello.
Brooke Merritt.
Hello.
And Zach Rowland.
Hi.
And today we're discussing Season 7, Episode 7, Chemistry. On this episode, Dexter thrusts himself into Team Hannah. Sal Price's pen is mightier than the DNA evidence, and he pays the ultimate Sal Price. Deb goes Team Vigilante. What did you think of this episode overall?
Not a bad episode.
Yeah. Tell us about it. What do you think?
Yeah. Not a bad episode, not a good episode. I'm walking down the middle of a road here. It was like it served its purpose in the middle of the season. And yeah.
That was my feeling as well. Just not good, not bad, just there. It exists. It's fine.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. It's kind of like, well, that just kind of went full stop. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a good enough episode. It was just kind of like everything stopped moving.
Yeah. I'm happy with it because I just finally forced myself to catch up on the most recent season of Ray Donovan, which is also a Showtime show. And the middle half of that season is a complete waste of time. Nothing happens. So it's a real chore to get through. And I was so happy that the last 3 episodes were great. So coming back to Dexter and watching this was like, hey, there's plot developments here. There's people I recognize doing things. It's not just Liev Schreiber getting punched a lot.
You're saying your standards coming into this one were very, very low, and that's why you found it acceptable. Okay.
Yeah. After watching the worst season of Ray Donovan so far, this was okay. So
We have great standards on this show at this point. We have really high standards and expectations.
I thought it matched because it's another Showtime joint, and it's another show that Showtime obviously does not want to let die, that should have died at least last season, if not before.
Valid comparison, really.
This episode gets the good enough fake gold star.
Pure 6 out of 10. Hannah puts a knife to Dexter's neck and tells him to explain himself. This is right after they have the sex on the table. He says that he kills bad people. Deb is with the writer talking about Hannah. Deb tells him that she's thinking of exhuming Hannah's dead husband and checking for aconite poisoning. Dexter drives Hannah home. They agree not to see each other anymore. It would only end badly. Dexter notices the author sitting in his car across the street from Hannah's house. Dexter offers to trade Wayne Randall's last words in exchange for not outing Dexter's apparent relationship and fudging of the blood work.
Extortion. That's always fun. I guess blackmail, really.
I like to say fudging of the blood work.
Yeah. Either way, they're both just, they're all, it's like this little baby kiddie pool of 4 people all fucking with one another, and it's so interesting to watch with this reporter and Hannah and Deb and all of them. It's like, you guys need to get out more. Stop fucking the people that you work with or see on a daily basis.
How do you not? It's there.
Of course.
Well, and you get the feeling that if they all accidentally ended up in the same place, if they were seated at a table next to each other, so Deb and the writer at one table and Hannah and Dexter at another table, they would just work it out and shrug it off and have a drink. But since they're all needling each other one at a time, it keeps it amplifying and accelerating.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like a situation I was a part of recently where it was one person that kept needling along everyone else in the group, and then finally we all figured out that she was doing that, and then we kicked her off the team.
Yeah, I would say I would have said high school, but improv also would work there.
100%.
So yeah, I just want to say fudging of the blood work one more time. And then Deb visits LaGuerta's office to rain on the idea of something else being the of someone else being the Bay Harbor Butcher besides Dokes. Dexter looks into Sal, the author's history, but can't find anything. Deb confronts Dexter about the fudged blood report, saying that one of the victims was killed. I really like that phrase. Deb confronts Dexter about the fudged blood report, saying that one of the victims was killed by someone smaller than Wayne. Deb accuses Dexter of protecting Hannah McKay so he can have her for his table.
Now, how are we not sure that a child didn't run up and stab someone? I mean, just because it was somebody smaller than Wayne, there's a lot of possibilities there. That's a very vague statement.
Yes. It is.
Could have been a small child. Could have been a grandmother who shrunk a little bit. I mean, anybody.
Well, and Wayne was kind of a wiry, like, kind of skinny, small guy anyway. Like, Dexter looked more substantial than him.
Yeah, one of the things that blows my mind about this is I actually think Yvonne Strahovski is just as tall as the guy who played Wayne.
But she was 15 at the time.
Oh, that's fair.
So she was probably a little smaller. I would
Not
think.
by much, though. She would have been close to her full adult size at that point.
Like height-wise, probably, but you usually
I don't know.
put on like 20 or 30 pounds like in your early 20s. Girls do anyway. Guys, it's more like 60 pounds in their early 30s. So, and if you're me, you put on 100 pounds between high school and 42. So there you go. I'm just kidding. I'm not that not much heavier.
I like it. It's so deprecating. It's self-deprecating. It's like, I'm just kidding. I'm much heavier.
It's like nobody knows what to say to that.
Zach's just body shaming everybody. Jesus.
Let's just say I've been fudging a lot myself. So,
Can we keep a count of how many times we say fudged or fudging?
And just put in a little ding noise.
Fudging the blood work.
Ding.
Maybe it should be the fudgiest character at the end.
The fudgiest silly blowjob.
Yeah. Who gave the fudgiest performance?
Let's see. Batista tells Dexter that Isaac's lawyers are coming and want to test that the blood found at the bar was really a match for him. Masuka realizes that it's missing. Miami Metro huddles and decides that they need to find the missing evidence or something new to tie Isaac to the bar within 24 hours, or Isaac will go free. Dexter says that the scene hasn't been released yet, and he leaves for there to try and get a new sample.
Uh-oh, guess Miami Metro's not such rock stars after all.
Well, Quinn more than fudged the blood work on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest.
Ding!
They were probably going to lose the evidence anyway.
Yeah. We all saw how loosey-goosey the evidence room was, so it was bound to happen.
Yes. Everything in Miami Metro is loosey-goosey. You want some evidence? You want a car? Go for it.
Yeah. You want to get in? Oh, just use this access door over here with the right security badge and you're in. So
Yeah. You can skip security.
Yeah.
Batista's still talking about his retirement bar and grill, which is a terrible idea.
But that's all they can give him to do.
Yeah, running any kind of restaurant is not less work than anything else that you're doing. It is always more work.
At this point, he's the most pitiful character in the history of the show. It's just they're so desperate to do something with him. Like, at that point as an actor, did he just want to cry every day that he was being given such terrible things to do? Like, ooh, we got all these murders and investigations, but hey, I'm going to open a bar.
It's sad that, like, Jamie now has more to do with the plot than Angel does. Like, what?
That was brutal. That was so
no
brutal.
Purpose anymore. There's no purpose.
You know,
They could have just killed him off.
It's funny, if you go back and listen to our discussions of the initial episodes of this show, we talked about how Angel becomes kind of like the moral center of the show, and now we're just tearing him down.
Because there is no moral center anymore.
It's just a really small moral center.
Yeah, and it's full of fudge.
It's surrounded by fudge.
At the retirement bar and grill.
Dexter, Quinn, Masuka, Batista, and the unnamed female black detective, he might have a name, I just don't remember. They all go to the bar and find it covered in sewage. The Koshka Brotherhood intentionally backed up the sewage. Why the fuck didn't they just go in there and destroy the evidence with a fire or something? I don't understand, but hey,
It's
their
incredible.
elaborate Rube Goldberg sewage plan worked for them, so...
I imagine that it was just one guy who ended up taking a giant shit, while the other guys are trying to destroy the evidence, and it backed it up, and he's like, oh, I backed up the sewers, and then they're like, get the fuck out of here, and they all ran, and then it was really just a mishap, but it worked out in their favor.
Make a better storyline.
Yeah, really.
They pulled off the old Kiev smash. The old... Batista tells Quinn that his name was on the evidence logs and asks him what he was doing in there, what with his Koshka Brotherhood stripper girlfriend. Quinn assures him he wouldn't sink so low.
Even though we know he did.
Even though he did. Dexter tells Deb that he's going to get Isaac when he's released. Deb tells him no, she's going to put a tail on him until his visa expires. Sal brings Deb information on Hannah's dead husband's sister. Deb agrees to meet with her after she talks, or she agrees to meet with Sal after she talks to the sister. Quinn is reunited with Nadia. She's worried that Quinn has done something to earn her freedom, but he tells her that she'll be safe. In the just a little bit more than Batista plot that Quinn has this season. Deb tells Lori, Hannah's sister-in-law, that they want to exhume the body. Lori says that Hannah miscarried shortly after the husband's death and that Hannah cut off ties with his family. She agrees to help Deb. Sal comes to Hannah and asks her to help him write his biography on her. Hannah immediately agrees to help if he keeps Dexter out of it. She sets a time to meet her at her house the next day. Sal immediately calls Dexter and sets a meeting for him for later the next evening. Harry and Dexter are looking... I can stop and talk about that for a second. So, Sal wastes an entire day here. He goes to talk to Hannah. Hannah says, well, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And then rather than going and talking to Dexter right away, like he should, he sets it up so that he's talking to Dexter after he talks to Hannah the next day, so that the events of later in the episode can play out in the way that they do. Otherwise, it makes absolutely no sense. I watched that scene and I was like, wait, why is he scheduling it that way? Why doesn't he want to just like get Dexter pinned down on the record first and then go see what Hannah has to say? But nope, the plot. So
Yeah.
Well, isn't it really just to get what's his name's last words were? Wayne? I don't even remember anymore. That's it? You really
That's
need
what-
an elaborate
yeah.
meeting for that?
yeah,
Well, I like to think that the people who write for the newspaper or books or anything of that nature that are journalists in Miami are just as terrible as the police in Miami. So it clearly makes sense in terms of how the world works of Miami, but absolutely not at all. Like you said, Dale, like the plot is servicing the plot as opposed to actual reality. So
it's all about having Sal die at Dexter's apartment because of Hannah. So it has to happen in that order, that he meets her and then him. But this weird, like, scene of him setting that up with Hannah and Dexter ahead of time is weird. Like, it like points out how stupid that is. Whereas if they didn't have that scene and he just like went and met with them, it would make a whole lot more sense and be more interesting, I guess. But those are not the choices that this show makes. Harry and Dexter are looking more into Sal Price. Dexter plans to link Sal's DNA to an unresolved murder that Sal wrote about. Quinn goes to George and tries to cash Nadia out. George says that they have enough to ruin Quinn's career. Dexter goes to Hannah's. He tells her about running into Sal, and she tells him Sal is after her for info on his book. Dexter tells her that he's going to take care of Sal, but not by killing him. Dexter only kills killers. Hannah says that killing isn't a drive for her, it's survival of the fittest, and so far she's the fittest. They say goodbye forever, again, and Hannah even makes fun of them for it. Dexter then compares Hannah to Lila, Rita, and Lumen and decides that Hannah accepts both sides of him, the whole Dexter, which I think is exactly what he said about Lumen.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. Exactly 100%. Same
Until
thing.
Lumen decided not to be down with both sides of Dexter anymore.
Which,
Yeah.
like, nothing has... There was never any more word on Lumen, like she just disappeared or anything. I don't know what's happening. They just... she didn't want to be with me anymore, and we forget she ever existed up until this line.
No one could afford to communicate with her because Julia Stiles was too expensive. How... So, I mean, we're more than halfway through this season. Hannah's been introduced in this season. How much does it feel like Hannah is just... They couldn't get Julia Stiles to reprise the role, so they found somebody else to play this character?
It's basically the same character.
Yeah, I mean, she's a murderer, and she's not as like emotionally scarred as Lumen was. She's pretty happy with herself, and she's kind of glib about her role with the Wayne Randall murders because she's got immunity. But it really does feel like the natural extension of what should have happened with Lumen. They just brought in a new, less expensive blonde actress to play that role.
Yeah, and it's basically what Lumen would have been like a year later, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But then really what he says is wrong, though, because Lila had dark hair and the rest were blondes. And that just doesn't add up for me.
Nothing in common.
No, Lila's one of a kind, guys. Have I talked to you about friendship lately?
You haven't.
I could go into a whole spiel about Lila and friendship, but I don't know if we have enough time.
PowerPoint.
Yeah, listen, I have charts, and I hope you all brought notepads.
Oh, Lila.
It's going to be a long
I
one.
I actually feel like he said that Lila accepted both sides of him, too.
Yeah,
Before she went crazy.
Sort of, kind of. That was sort of his deal. No, Lila accepted him because she was crazy.
That's
like
fair.
she was like an agent of chaos herself, and so she was like all about having this dangerous boyfriend that kills people. Even though he eventually came and killed her for trying to set him on fire.
I feel like Rita would have been accepting if she had found out, because, I mean, she was okay with Lila kidnapping her kids.
She was like surprisingly accepting of that. So, Deb and Lori are at the coroner's. Turns out the body was not embalmed and the test cannot be run on just bones.
That guy was the most boring character I've ever seen in my life. It's just like, yeah, no, you can't run a test on bones, dummy.
While Sal is meeting with Hannah, Dexter is grabbing DNA from Sal's bathroom. He finds some blood traces on some floss. Over Harry's objections, Dexter deletes Sal's computer research on Hannah. Hannah tells Sal the story of the couple killed near the hotel, and she tearfully admits to stabbing and killing the woman. So she was the smaller person in that killing.
So it wasn't a little person. It was actually her.
It was not a grandma.
It wasn't
one of
Peter
the theories.
Dinklage.
You beat me to Peter Dinklage.
It wasn't Danny DeVito.
What about Tom Cruise?
Yeah, that kind of worked.
Yeah, he looks like a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah, I mean, he and I are the same height, but whatever. Fuck you.
Yeah, but you're 100 pounds heavier. Oh, wait, that's a joke. Much heavier.
much heavier than Tom Cruise. I thought Brooke was gone again, but she was just not interested.
No, that time it was all.
I
her
was
own
laughing. I was laughing.
Stoic self.
Isaac
I just
abruptly
didn't have anything to add to that. There was nothing I could bring to the table. You guys had it.
All right, you guys. Isaac abruptly joins Dexter for lunch. Isaac suspects that Dexter didn't kill Victor over the murder of Mike Anderson, and Dexter admits that he crushed Victor's skull with a fire extinguisher. Sal arrives at Dexter's. Dexter starts talking about the potential for Sal to be implicated in the murder he wrote about. Sal gets angry and then collapses on Dexter's floor. He dies of a heart attack. Jamie and Dexter are interviewed about what happened by Miami Metro. They both talk about the sound of an argument before Sal fell, and Dexter says that Sal had accused him of sloppy blood work.
But what did he
Or-
really accuse him of?
Fudging the blood work.
Okay, just making sure.
which is now the title of this episode.
Like I'm so glad that he turned those appointments around so that he could die at Dexter's place.
Yeah. That's great.
Because if he would imagine if he just would have been driving, just like all of a sudden died, and then he would have ended up in a bay somewhere, and then they would have never known what happened to him, and then that would have been a whole nother storyline of like, did she kill him? Did she not kill him? Now we know for sure she did.
We do.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's awesome that Angel and Deb are involved in questioning Dexter and Jamie about a death that happened.
Yeah, because that's totally all above board. There's no restrictions on that kind of thing.
Yeah, LaGuerta rubber stamped that.
Sure she did.
But aren't they homicide though? Like,
Yeah.
isn't this not? This technically isn't considered a homicide until like foul play is in like.
Now, I don't want to get this wrong, but I might be getting this wrong. I think that an unexplained death is considered a homicide until it's ruled out. And I think homicide comes to things like this automatically until the coroner says natural causes, and then that investigation ends.
My father
pretty-
was a coroner. I could do some research on this and find out.
I just want to know for if I become a serial killer in the future.
I think it differs, depending on locality, how
Sure.
that's done. But I want to say, on what's that real police show that takes place in Florida a lot? The First 48. I want to say on the First 48, there's a lot of cases that start out that way, where it's probably they think it's probably a natural causes death, but it's still homicide's job to be the first on the scene when a dead body's found. And that way, if it later is found out to be likely a homicide, then they've done their job from the beginning, instead of like the crime scene's already gone, everybody that was there is already gone. They work the case like it's a homicide, even if it's not, until they can rule that out. So I might be giving the show way more credit than it deserves, but certainly family members are
they
not
didn't know
allowed to
that.
question each other. Angel and Deb should not have been anywhere near there, but hey, we only have so many characters, right? So Deb arrives and tells Dexter that she and Sal met for drinks. Her death vagina strikes again. Deb says that she thinks that Hannah poisoned Sal. Deb is going to pick up Hannah for questioning and run a talk screen on Sal's body.
I feel like Deb's vagina has killed as many people as Dexter has.
It's pretty deadly. Deb brings Hannah into an interview room. Hannah doesn't seem concerned about the talk screen on Sal. Deb starts pushing about Hannah's husband, asking if Hannah felt trapped, that she was about to start a family. Hannah ends the interview and leaves. Dexter goes to Hannah's and tells her that he had it under control. Hannah said that she put something on Sal's pens that he chewed, something untraceable, something that they never name. Dexter tells her he took care of erasing Sal's book research on Hannah, and Hannah said she killed her husband because he wanted her to abort the pregnancy and the miscarriage was real. Hannah points out that they were looking out for each other and they suck some face in celebration.
Hooray. Those crazy kids are going to work out.
At least I don't mind watching Michael C. Hall and Yvonne Strahovski together the way I had trouble with, like, say, Lila. Like, Hannah's not gross. She doesn't make me feel icky.
Lila was gross.
Well, you know, she had that accent. I understand. I mean, all Brits make me feel icky.
Something about her. I don't know if it was the accent. I don't know.
Was it her tits?
Pardon my tits.
Just throwing it back to all the good lines. It's like we just want to go back. We just want to go back to the beginning.
She did say pardon her tits. I mean, that was rather nice of her, I think.
Yeah, well, and Yvonne Strahovski must have a non-nudity clause in her contract, because like even the scene where they wake up on the killing table, she's like really awkwardly placed in this tiny strip next to Dexter, who's basically like spread eagle, and she's got her back to the camera and she's just kind of like crumpled up, so that you can't see anything. Whereas with Lila, it was like tits for Dexter, tits for Angel, hooray, tits everywhere.
La Passion.
I mean, even Julie Benz got to that point where she's like, all right, sure, you know.
Has Jennifer Carpenter been nude on the show?
No.
I feel like
No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
I think
Hold on, I have a list.
Nude. I think in one
Pull out
scene
your
you see her
database
nude
of
from behind.
boobs on Dexter.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here's the list. So we got Jamie, we've got Lila, we've got every hooker ever introduced.
Oh, Jamie. Yeah, that's right. We did have that one sad Jamie shot.
Yep.
And that
Nadia.
Nadia.
I really don't have a list. This is a sad mental thing that I did.
It would be better if you did have a list. It would be a little less weird.
The like doggy style shame girl that Quinn was having sex with.
Oh yeah.
The just like reassessing your life while hitting it from the back. Like
Yeah, that look on his face, it was just like, the fuck am I doing?
how did I get here? Is this?
How did the show get so bad, and why did I sign on to do it?
Oh man.
It's okay. Dexter season 8's gonna write everything.
Yeah.
I feel like he did it.
Snakes.
I feel like he did it because he auditioned for Breaking Bad and got beat out by Aaron Paul, and that was the point where he was just like, fuck this. I can't act ever again.
Who Quinn?
Yeah.
Did he audition for Jesse?
No, I'm just making things.
It sounded totally made up, but so made up that it was almost believable.
He seems like super old to play Jesse, but
Yeah, that's why he's like, I'm too old for these fucking
Desmond
roles.
Harrington. It's
Yeah.
like, come on, man, I could be just out of high school.
That receding
Desmond, you're
hairline.
32, dude.
Yeah, but I got a fucking cool accent, bro.
I can play douchey. Jesse's a douche, man. I can play it. Now I'm going into Mark Wahlberg territory. I could do it, man. What? No. let's see. Quinn tries to give Batista $10,000 for his retirement bar and grill. He finally accepts. Masuka brings Deb the talk screen on price. There are no abnormal findings. Deb says that fucking bitch is going to get away with it again. Deb has Sal's recorder with Hannah confessing to killing the woman in the couple. Dexter and Hannah are in bed post the sex. Deb calling shows on Dexter's phone. Deb tells Dexter that Hannah is going to get away with Sal's murder. She tells Dexter to kill Hannah to make things right.
So I don't particularly understand why they don't go after Hannah with the recording of killing the woman, because they never knew if she did, because she never admitted to it.
She has immunity.
But immunity only covers what you admit to.
She admitted it to an author.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't under oath. She wasn't Mirandized.
Fair enough.
For all they know, that before the tape started, they were going to say, let's make up a fiction, or let's say all of this theoretically. So, yeah, there wasn't enough there. And Deb, lays out the case. She's like, I know she did this, I know she did this, I know she did this, but I can't get her through justice, so it has to be your justice. Which I didn't write it down that way, but that's how Deb says it. That it has to be Dexter's justice.
Yeah.
That's the only one that will get her. This episode was directed by Holly Dale. This was the first of 2 episodes that she directed. Her production company, Spectrum Films, won a Genie Award for P4W, Prison for Women, a 1981 documentary about Canada's only women's prison. It was written by Manny Cotto and Karen Campbell. Manny Cotto, of course, came on to Dexter with Chip Johansson back in season 5 and stayed till the bitter end, co-writing the season finale with Scott Buck. And Karen Campbell wrote or co-wrote 1 episode each for season 7 and 8, as well as writing the story for 1 season 5 episode and serving as a staff writer for season 6, a story editor for season 7, and an executive story editor for season 8. What was the best line of the episode?
I liked the line Deb said, I can't even have a drink with someone and they die.
Death vagina.
The death vagina.
Mine was the reporter saying to Dexter, I'd watch what you eat around her. Foreshadowing.
I actually don't even remember who Hannah was talking to at this moment, but I went with sometimes people die. Because it is Miami, and sometimes people die. Sometimes they're murdered.
Oh, man, that was my worst line.
Hannah saying sometimes people die?
Sounds like something she would have said to Deb during their interview.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I think so.
Yeah, because I had it as, where did it go? Oh, yeah, sometimes people die, it's not always poison, and then I put in quotes, no, it's Miami.
Sometimes it's murder.
That's why it was my favorite line. It's all about taking it back to the beginning, guys. It's all coming full circle on this one.
So that leads into, what is the worst line of the episode?
The worst line for me is Dexter says, when 2 chemicals mix, they combust and explode, which is a gross generalization, and it just infuriated me for hours.
Yeah, but they had to tie it to the fact that the episode name was Chemistry.
Yeah, they had to try real hard to make it fit because that was a terrible name.
I mean, it's not like he's a scientist or anything. Can come up with anything better than that.
My choice was when Dexter was looking for a way to plant the evidence. Traces of blood, good for me, bad for his gums. Dexter doing a dental PSA.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, gum disease.
Yes. See, you do learn stuff from this show, how to give good dental care.
Yeah. How about the performance of the episode?
I coined a new one, Quintista.
Quintista.
That's my performance of the episode. Was the
can
old
you
Quinn
qualify
Tista.
that? Like,
That's Quinn giving Batista the money.
Yeah,
Quinn Tista.
And that's because there was nothing else to pick.
I mean, I gave it to Hannah because she exists.
because she
I-
cried.
I gave it to her because who else was there to give it to? I mean,
give it
I
to
couldn't
the
have come up with
crybaby.
Quintista.
Yeah, how did you give it to Quinn and Batista? Or I'm sorry,
I didn't give it to.
Quintista.
Yeah, I gave it to Quinn Tista because it's fun to coin new ways to say Batista.
Yeah, I think it's really bizarre the way that they write Quinn as, so he was a dirty cop, and the Koshka Brotherhood is using that against him by giving him money and recording him and forcing him to do more stuff. But because he has a conscience now, he still does the bad stuff. He still takes the evidence, but he donates all the money to Batista's Money Pit retirement bar and grill.
Well,
Good
like,
guy Quinn.
Quinn is just so much more of a character. Like I talked earlier about Batista, how they just make up stuff for him to do. But with Quinn, I mean, it's almost worse because they just don't know who he is. We're going to have him do this really bad thing, but then he's going to do a really good thing, but then he's going to do something bad. They just don't know what to do with Quinn.
well, earlier in the episode, Batista literally accuses him of being a dirty cop working for the Russians, and now he
Right.
shows up with a random $10,000 check and is like, "Here, buddy," and Batista's like, "Yes, yes."
Checking those morals at the door, that moral center of the show.
Everybody's got a price.
It's family
No
money.
questions
Who gives
asked.
a fuck?
Yes. And as we fudge the blood work one last time, that is it for season 7, episode 7. Thanks everybody for watching this one again, talking with me about it. And thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you on the next Deeply Discussing Dexter.